Hello and welcome everyone to Daily Stock Market Update. This is Big Bull here. Today we're going to look into some of the main ETFs and the watch list that I made for the next week. So let's dive in. So guys, next week we have some major economic news coming out, which is interest rate hike decision, and then the market is kind of already priced in that move that we're not going to get any rate hike. And then as you can see on my screen that there's only 2% chance that we get a rate hike. So it's highly unlikely that we see any further rate hike in September, but there is a almost 25% chance of a rate hike into the November, and there is 35% chance of getting a rate hike in December. So this can obviously change according to the inflation data or the job data that we get going forward. So without any further ado, let's get right into some of the main ETFs that we are watching into next week. And then SPY is definitely the main one, double inside week, so which is a very rare setup. And I'm watching some of the key levels, which is 442 and 62. Once we break that level, I expect more downside to SPY next week. Let's look at the daily time frame. SPY is definitely not looking good for the bulls after the huge Friday sell-off on some high volume too, and we saw this move coming right off our level of 451 as like there's a target hit, ABC is done, and bears it's time to step in. Now it's a time for reversal or 455 next, and then we saw a huge reversal off our level 451, and then price almost made a new lows, and then we expect price to make new lows by end of the next week or by end of this month. So as we can see on the screen, health waves are showing that price is in a wave 3, and we can see the continuing sell-off on SPY for the next couple of days, followed by a small bounce, followed by another low on it. After that, we can see some of the bounce in SPY, in this range, but that bounce, will decide if we are about to move higher. That's a huge level that bulls and bears both are watching. So once this level breaks, the weekly structure is going to change and bears going to be in control. So this is a level that bulls do not want to lose because we are consistently making higher highs. Once it's made, price is going to start making lower highs and lower lows. So that means every single pop is going to get sold unless we break the prior highs. That's a definitely level I'm watching going into the rest of the month. Now look at some of the daily time frame. Some of the key levels I'm watching is 442 and 60. Once this level breaks, I am expecting price to move to 436 and 65 level here. But there's a good chances that even if we see a bounce off this level for the next 2 days, even though price is going to be chopped because of the rate hike decision, and then price already formed a supply above on the daily time frame right here. So any bounces, if we get into this supply zone, I would definitely go ahead and take a really low risk short position in this zone if we go into this and then coming back down, something like this. So we're definitely watching this on SPY. So now let's look at some of the other main ETFs in the market, which is XLF. So XLF formed a shooting star on the daily time frame and also consolidating in this bear flag, and then I do expect a huge move down as long as price stays below 35.65 level to make some new lows. But this step, clear as day, a bear flag is setting up, cannot ignore this one. I did get into short position on Friday close, but let's see how that plays out going into next couple of days. Again, bears are still in control below this huge level, and then we have the small gap to fill on this one too. Energy has been on a tear this whole month and almost made a new highs on the weekly time frame, but now it's looking tired on the daily time frame. So I do think there's a need for a breather here before moving more higher. And then dailies also formed an inverted hammer, which is a bearish candlestick pattern, and which probably are definitely on a high volume, so we can definitely see some lower energy prices going. And then in this small gap to fill, high chances we go in there, gap, fill the gap, and then this bounce gonna decide if we're gonna start moving higher or if we start moving down. We need definitely more data for that. So energy is definitely looking weak going into the early next week. Real estate is definitely trying to break out, but inside day and doji cannot, so there is the undecision right there, and price in this just whole chop range here. So that's a there's a no ground. So neither bulls or bears are in control in this range. So if we break this high, so definitely bulls are in control. Price, the structure is going to change. Price is going to start making higher highs and higher lows. And if we break this lows there, that means bears are in control, and we can see lower prices once this level breaks, and the pops high chance is going to get sold below this level too. And then we're holding also this huge uptrend since October lows too. So definitely interesting month ahead of us, watching all these levels. And the next one is ARK, growth ETF, or really not doing well this whole year, or if we say since 2021 top, down a lot. And then also looks like it's forming a huge weekly bear flag. And then I do expect a low price on this one, because if you look at other growth names, some of the growth names already made new lows, like 3Ms, Macy's, and there's a lot of names out there. Those who are at 52-week lows. LC is another example, right? So, and then ARK is definitely looking like a huge bear flag that is consolidating in this range here for almost a year now. And I do expect a breakdown pretty soon on this one. As looking on the daily time frame, we got a huge sell-off off from the July highs, which is prices almost down 22%. And then we got this dead cat bounce, and then I was not buying this dead cat bounce, because thing is, guys, you do not buy the first bounce right after a huge sell-off. That is most likely a trap. Those are late sellers who wanted to short at the highs. They missed their opportunity, so now they're gonna short at any prices, on any bounces right there. So it looks like it's breaking down again. And some of the key levels that I'll be watching is 42.72, because you can see price is clearly consolidating in this range. Once we start breaking this range, the next demand is way down below at 41.33 levels there. So if you watch this level, if it starts breaking, that'd be a really good short opportunity to short some of the growth names out there. The main ones are Roku, the top holding coins, top holding. Some of these names can see a huge sell-off on the monthly time frame too. So even look at Roku, that's the main part of ARK. Broke this huge uptrend, and then this huge daily sell-off. Weekly is also definitely not looking good. A shooting star followed by a bearish engulfing. Once we break this lows here, definitely a lot of pain coming to Roku along with ARK. DIA, Dow Jones, pretty much consolidating sideways, this whole, for a year or two, but significantly seeing a high volume in this one too. And then this is a bearish reversal pattern that we saw on some high volume, so definitely not looking good. I would say as long as below 351. So I'm expecting even lower prices on Dow Jones if we break 345.50 level. Again, guys, most of the charts do look bullish. Bearish. Right after, because of the Friday sell-off, and some of the earlier sell-off that we saw in the month of August, because only some of the names that got recovered, but most of the are still selling off. So definitely things are definitely looking bearish, and then the seasonality is also bearish in September. So definitely looking for lower prices, but I will be looking for a bounce in the first week of October when this sell-off ends. IWM, one of the weakest ETFs out there, small caps. Looking at the weekly time frame, massive head and shoulder. So looks like forming on this one, but and then high volume coming in too on this last weekly candle. So can't really confirm it. It's a head and shoulder. I don't really trade patterns, but unless we break this lows here, which is this prior August lows, 181.54 level. So as long as this level holds, bulls, I would say, are in control. If we break this level, then you know what to do. Every single pop is gonna get sold, in my opinion, back to this 175 level that I have after this level. So that's a huge sell-off if we break this level. Or if we break or retest, can give us also a nice entry. Bulls need to hold this level, otherwise huge red days are coming for small caps. And here we are, the regional banks. Regional banks, guys, okay, this is definitely probably weakest out there, after IWM. This huge bear flag broke down on the weekly time frame, and then we also looks like got the retest of this bear flag on some volume too. Looking at the daily, back-to-back bear flags are forming too on this one. So bear flag breakdown, all these regional banks that we saw earlier, not earlier, but back in July. There's a huge sell-off looking at XLF after this one. Also not looking good, as you can see on my screen. I predicted right for the crash that was going to happen, because my waves were telling me there's a huge drop coming. Because look at it, XLF massive bear flag breakdown followed by range breakdown. Pop's gonna get sold back down. Waves showing big drop is coming, and high chances we can see a new lows. And guys, look what happened in just a couple of days. Price dropped a lot, and then we almost made a new lows on XLF. So definitely exact same setup I'm watching on XLF here, and same exact setup I'm watching on the regional banks, which we predicted right before the previous crash. So, and then last but not least is Q's ugly candle on the daily time frame, but price is still in this massive range here. So cannot really tell, unless we break this lows here on the daily time frame, which is 360 and 18 level. Also, just like SPY, also formed a nice supply zone up here on Q's. Any bounces if we get, I will take a short position on this one with a very tight stops right at this highs, and if we get we get a new lows, if we get this tested. So lower shorts on a bounce are coming in my opinion. And the last one is VIX. Guys, again, most people say you cannot chart VIX, but you can definitely chart VIX if you follow the market closely and you've been trading long enough. You can chart VIX to your advantage to see if the move is coming higher or lower. Just charting the VIX, because last time we charted the VIX, we saw this wave 3 coming down, followed by wave 4 and new lows, and then I do expect, and then now we have a weekly buy signal on the VIX, which are suggesting higher VIX prices in the coming weeks. So which is adding more confidence to my bias that there are definitely high chances we see a VIX pop, and then it also looks like a bullish wedge is also forming on the VIX. So, and then if there's also that this thing is also adding to my confluence that a sell-off is coming, which is a short of VIX future, so which is also showing me a weekly sell signal on these ones, that means if this is coming down, the stock market is coming down. You can see on my chart, as we see SPY, it moves with the SPY right here, and then we formed a bearish engulfing right at the highs on some high volume. So that just only mean one thing, the big money is not buying at these highs. If you see a high volume ticks right at the highs, that means there's definitely a sell after this huge move up. So we can definitely see some cool off in SVIX futures, which is followed by equity sell off too. And again, as I mentioned before, we are in a weak seasonality in the month of the year. So now let's move on to the main names I'm watching for the next week, which was Adobe. Adobe is the main one that I'm watching. A huge earnings sell-off on this one, but if you look at the weekly time frame, there's a huge bearish engulfing candle on some huge volume too, and then it reversed right off this weekly supply zone and 70% retracement from the all-time highs. And it also looks like an ending diagonal is forming, so definitely a lot of confidence on this name that lower prices are coming for Adobe after rejecting this weekly supply zone. So what I'm watching for this one is this prior week close here around 552. Once we break this one, I do expect Adobe to go down to 452 level or 424 level before we see any bounce on this one. So definitely on a high watch for a short swing on Adobe once we break this 542 level. 22, my bad. gold. Then these are gold miners, and a huge uh, bearish candle on this one too, and the shooting star and whatever you want to call it, but definitely not a good looking candle. So this is my one of the main names I'm watching on Monday to go short. Again, guys, I'm only looking at the short names because after the Friday sell-off, most names definitely looks good for short setups, and then I do think we're gonna get a really high moves just like Friday for the next couple of days, just by looking at some of the names. Because look at it, guys, I have almost 160 to 200 names in my watch list that I chart every day. So when I chart all these names, then you also get that sentiment of that what might be coming next, and then this is what I'm seeing on most of the charts. Bearish candles on some high volume near the highs only mean one thing. And then look at Intel, guys, high volume candle and on some shooting stars. Definitely big money's definitely not buying up here after this nice run up. Definitely it's time to some of the cool off in this name too. And then looking at this is also rejected this weekly supply zone up here, and then the next demand that I see, which is down there around 32 level here demand. But let's look at the daily time frame because we're only going to trade it daily. I'll be watching Friday lows, and once Friday lows breaks, let's set an alert on this one. Once Friday lows break, the next level is 36.74, and then we have this small gap to fill right after this at 35, and this is where is also a 20 magnet, so that would be a mean reversion to the magnet before you see a bounce or lower price. That for that we need more data. Apple is definitely the main one, guys, definitely the main one on because if Apple tanks, the whole market is gonna tank. And looking at the weeklies, boy, this name needs to hold 172 or bulls are definitely in trouble, because the weekly structure is definitely going to be changed after the lows get broken, which is 172. That means every single pop is going to get sold. I can also see a weekly supply is formed right here. So any new lows made, any bounces back into the supply, high chances will get sold back down. So bulls need to protect this level 172, or 147 or 150 can come next really fast. Just like this small moves up and then stairs up, elevator down. You can see all these 2-3 months of moves wiped out in just 1 or 2 weeks. So that type of another move we can see if we break this level on Apple. Tesla, looking at Tesla, just like all other names, but this is not looking bearish like all other names. But one thing to note is that Tesla closed in supply on Friday and with some high volume. So anytime price closes into supply on some high volume, I only interpret it as one thing, that big money sold into the supply after this nice run up on this one. And then we also have this all-time trends coming down, and then high chances we reject this level and then we come back down, fill some of this gap, and then at least retrace 50% of this move after this nice rally. Looking at the daily time frames, only watching this Friday lows to break, and then we get into puts. Again, guys, I'm not bearish much on Tesla because we have this upside gap to fill, and then if market decide to push higher, or we get a bounce, and then if Tesla decide to get one more leg up, then I will be watching this 281 level break, and then once this level breaks, then there will be easy calls to this gap fill, and then this is where the next daily supply here. This is where I would take my next shot with a very tight stops at the prior highs for a quick correction before starting moving higher. Right, so these are two scenarios I'm watching on Tesla. So definitely a really good setup on the daily time frame. Microsoft, bearish engulfing, and this looks like a bear flag breakdown. So definitely not looking good on the daily time frame. So the key levels I'm watching on this one is 329 and 21. Once this level breaks, the next level is from 326.35, and then we have 321 and 70 on Microsoft. And then looking at the waves here, definitely looks like ABCs are setting up, but it's still far away from its prior lows. So we can see some of the chop, even after this breaking down some chop, because price is gonna be in this huge range here. So I'll be not swinging Microsoft, because there are other good names out there, but only be day trading Microsoft if price do break this level here. Lift small name here, cheap options on this one. So startup is definitely there. Looking at 4 hours, price is definitely consolidating sideways in this range, but no swings on this one. I'm only watching a quick day trade on this. We have this weak demand here, not strong demand, but still, if we break this level on Monday or Tuesday, then my target would be this demand here on a lift, for a quick day trade for 100 150% quick option trade on this one. So LVS, this is the name that I'm watching for the last 3 days to break down, but it's taking its time. But I do think there's a very high chances that this one will break down, and it will test this 46.45 level. As we can see, after this huge move down, price consolidating in a sideways range, consolidating this bear flag, we break this 48.43 level, and then I think there's going to be another waterfall type sell-off coming in this name. That is all for today, guys. If you like the analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. I will be back with another stock market update tomorrow. Have a good rest of the day.